Hello, hello, hello. I'm Cortez Ransom, your host of the C Note. This is season 2, episode 5. This is the C Note, where we, with a real recognized real, we keep it 100, and we also see you fake aces out there too. Here tonight, I'm waiting for my special guest, Mr. Jeffrey Ladrae. I see him right there. He should be on the screen any second. All right. Hey, there he is right there. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. What you?
I'm good. I'm good. How was your day?
Uh, Cold, long.
Cold and long, huh? I'm gonna leave that alone. Hey, somebody up there speaking.
Wait.
Hey, yo, what you said?
And I got the dogs to be quiet, so we good. They won't be.
Oh, you sure about that? I know they
do.
were acting up last time.
I will do the best I can.
Okay, well, we have Mr. Jeffrey Ladrae here. He is poetic, insightful, passionate, driven, determined. All right, and he was born in San Antonio, Texas, where, well, that's what you said, right?
No, I wasn't saying no to that.
Okay, okay, because I'm doing it from
pulling up
San Antonio, Texas, where you moved to Houston, Texas around age 11, and you remained there to your early 20s, and you've been residing in D.C. since your early 20s till present day. You participate. Say that again.
Oh no, I'm echoing.
Yeah, you participate in philanthropic cases, as well as philanthropy. Yeah, cases. I said philanthropic, but anyway, what you say?
I said all good.
And you participate in activism associated with Black Lives Matter and racial inequality. Say that again.
Yeah.
And you are an avid sportsman.
Oh yeah.
So what are your favorite sports?
We're not going to talk about the Eagles game Monday night, but I'm an Eagles, Spurs, and Braves and Astros fan. And that
okay. So, I'm not gonna say a word.
Yeah, please.
You know who I'm for.
Yeah, I know.
Purple Madness. Yeah, well, we got a lot to cover tonight.
We do.
Yes, we do. But I want us to start off before we get into the heavier stuff, with the J word and all that, and and we're going to get into everything that's happening with Kyrie and Mr. Ye and that situation.
I know.
We're going to start off talking about representation, but before we segue into representation, I want us to talk about how we as Black people have a right to say that we are only interested in dating our people without being penalized. Now, look, it's like this. Sometimes we damned if we do, damned if we don't, right? What I've noticed is that if a Black man gets online and he makes some video and he's putting down Black women, right? Mm-hmm. That gets shared all over the place. And that's put out as a representation of Black men, or the majority of Black men, when it's not, or the majority of heterosexual Black men when it's not. Okay, but when a Black man comes out and says he only wants a Black woman, he gets penalized for that as well.
Are you serious?
He gets criticized by other races, and he also gets criticized by other Black people, because we've been trained in this society to not feel good about wanting our own people. I myself have been called on my name because I posted before that I only want to date Black or people from the African diaspora, and I've had people jump on my post when I say that and call me out my name, and say, "Well, you should be open to all people. Love is love," and all this.
Or did you get this one? Oh, well, if Black men acted better, then people wouldn't step outside the race. Have you gotten that one too?
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I mean, I see Black folks. Well, first, let me say this. The reason why I wanted to talk about this was, he's not the only reason, but that was one of the latest examples. The actor John Boyega, who's in that movie, The Woman King. He came out before that movie.
I still need to see that.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about it since you haven't seen it. I've seen it, but we're not going to talk about it.
I know. But, all your posts.
But he came out on the Breakfast Club, and he made the statement that he can only see himself with a Black woman, and he feels connected to Black women and raised with a Black woman.
And they were called him intolerant and closed-minded and racist, and Black people can't be racist. Y'all know where I stand on that. But, Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so he was criticized by white folks. He was criticized by some black people as well because they tell him that, like you said, he's closed-minded. Just like I was called out of my name for saying I only want to date brothers, right? Because I don't want to date white men or whatever. I get caught out of my name for that. But the thing is, like I was saying, when a black man gets online and puts down black women, that kind of stuff gets shared all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people will promote that as being like the majority of how heterosexual black men are, when the statistics actually show that black men who prefer black women is like 80-something% and the higher 80%. So they're not the majority. And when people put that stuff out as a representative of black men, they don't put any context to it, right?
Exactly.
Because a lot of those black men that talk bad about black women, see, I was blessed with a wonderful black queen for a mother, right? And I'm sure you were as well.
Oh yeah.
But that's not the case for everybody, right? There are some black men that were raised by black women who were not good mothers to them. Unfortunately, some of them have mothers that were abusive to them or whatever. Not saying that that's an excuse to get online
Exactly.
and badmouth all
Because
black women. Right.
Other
That's not,
cultures, people forget that other cultures have the same issues, but people like Tyler Perry and stuff like to exploit for financial gain to make it look like it's us. But go ahead.
Yeah, so some of those black men have mommy issues, right? They have mommy issues because they may have had abuse to black women. I witnessed myself not too long ago, over the past few years, seeing little black boys being treated really badly by their moms, being called names and talked to in a harsh tone. And I'm talking like little boys that's like 3 or 4 years old, 8 years old, being talked to badly by their mothers, or who I presume was their mother or some woman that was with them related to them. So, and again, that's not an excuse to get online and badmouth all black women, but some people internalize that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when you're growing up as a little boy and you see that, and that's the face you want to put on all black women, which is not fair. And then that stuff is pushed out there like it's the majority of black men when it's not. But then when a black man gets online and professes his love for black women, a lot of people don't share that. They don't share that. So it's like
I'm taking my notes. I got my iPad is broken. I'm not going to explain it. What happened on Monday during the football game while my iPad is broken, so I have to use something else. But I'm writing my thoughts down.
So I was going to ask you, what do you have to say about that whole thing about how we tend to promote the negative instead of the positive? When black men say something positive about black women, that doesn't get promoted. Right.
Hold on one second. All right. So that's what I was writing down.
Here you are.
First, this is a very good topic, and of course we're going to save it and share it on Facebook and YouTube to watch it.
Right. Be on both.
Perfect, because a lot of people came back later and saw, and I do the same thing for yours. So I appreciate everything you do, and also kudos to your recognition at your film festivals and the hard work you do. It's phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But to get on your topic specifically, I have been someone who, my family and I've had friends, everyone knows I always dated women outside of my race because, like you said, a lot of times those mommy issues are trauma. Hold on, let me finish. Y'all start cussing me out. A lot of it was growing up. I saw things growing up that was not the most positive, and I'm not going to speak on my family's business. And then on top of that, the black girls, I was white, I dressed white, I'm not man enough, they wanted a baby boy. Even in my college years, I was too nerdy, I was too whatever, and I was not accepted. That does not mean that is not how all of them are, or that does not make you any less a person. I was just running into them in the wrong places. Then further, as I got older, everyone knows I prefer a submissive partner. That is what I require. It's a deal breaker. It is a 100% requirement. If you're not submissive, I'm not going to date you, period. Unfortunately, but fortunately, when it comes to our beautiful queens, they do not like that word. Everyone knows the history from.
I understand why they don't.
Exactly. And that's okay. And it's also been equated to the word weak. It's been equated to the word. weak, less than. When in my eyes, I don't see it as that. I see it as strong. But unfortunately, I have to respect that. Due to that, I had bad interpretations of them. That does not mean that I have shut the door. And in such time that I've got to know more and have networked with them through my job, through some of the things I've done, I realize that there are a lot who just want to know that their security, and that we respect them and that we hear them, and we don't just see them as objects, or we see them as someone to objectify. So,
Right.
and then there's also the attitude of, oh, the ones who are successful want to date white men, or they don't care about us, so they think less of us. Brothers, I hate to say it, but some of us do not step up. So when we see one on her game, we feel inadequate. Okay, don't blame black women for that. Blame yourself, because then you're going to end up with somebody who's not going to help you be better.
Let me say that
Go ahead.
there are a lot of brothers that do step up, though, but those brothers don't get promoted. They're never highlighted.
Yeah.
The ones who don't step up are the ones who are purposely highlighted to make them seem like they are the majority when they're not, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, I get it.
And I have a friend, one of my heterosexual buddies. He also is not, he's not the quote unquote thug type. He's an artist, he's heterosexual, and he himself is, and he definitely wants to be with a black woman. He loves black women. He's still looking for his black queen. But he himself has said how he's been accused of being a homosexual because he's not all hard and everything. But he's a totally heterosexual brother. You know,
that's so
there's
toxic.
there's work that needs to be done. Yeah, there's work that needs to be done on both sides. Yeah, there's work that needs to be done on both sides with men and black women on both sides, definitely. And that's all about image again, right? Which I'm going to segue into this whole representation thing. That's about image. What we see on the screen plays a big part, you know, with this whole thing with
there's a good comment. A good comment. Sorry, I'm gonna try to read the comments. I have it up on 2 screens, so if you can't see it, I can see it. But Willie is from Georgia, not Georgia, Georgia. He's from Georgia, and he said we have to make it more of a habit of uplifting our black women. Every opportunity you have to compliment a black woman, take it. I believe this will help change the narrative. It does. I do it all the time, and I mean it. Although people,
you went out
even
for a second. Say it again.
That I uplift our women, they always say, "Oh, you're only talking about Nicki Minaj," when I'm not. They just, you know, unfortunately, we can't genuinely speak positive about our folks unless there's an ulterior motive, and it'd be our own saying. You know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
See, we've been purposely pitted against each other, right?
Comes from slavery.
Yeah. During slavery, they took 2 black men and would make them fight each other and beat each other to death for their entertainment.
Yeah.
White folks would do that for their entertainment
and
stuff like that. Buck breaking, and also
chicken fighting
with what's going on with rap music today, right?
Man.
That's also representation, because rap music, when it first started off decades and decades ago, it wasn't what it is today. When rap music first started off, if you go and research and look back, rap music started off very positive and uplifting.
It was a way to talk about struggle and overcoming adversity.
It was empowering, and they had some lighthearted, fun stuff too, and stuff like that. That was having a positive effect on our people. Okay, then those people, you know, who the J-ish people, you know, like the show Black-ish, J-ish. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about out there too. The J-ish people, they saw the positive effect that positive rap music was having on black folks, and they're the ones who pushed for this whole gangster rap thing. Black folks did not always go around calling each other niggas and bitches and hoes and brag about killing another black person on record. That was not us pushing for that. That was them who financed that whole movement. They put the money behind that because they didn't like the fact that we were starting to look at ourselves the way we should. You know, and we need to get back to taking charge of producing our own music and putting that positive stuff out there and singing about love, because we rarely even hear real love songs anymore.
We don't. Rarely. And when we do, we have people We have people or artists like Miss Knowles who turn it into tearing down our black men. But we won't go there right now. But I won't get into that right now. But I will
You
say,
gonna have the beehive jumping on there.
I don't care about. I ain't
I
worried
know
about
you
that.
don't.
I've dug repellent. But no.
Right.
So with that said, though, like Kanye West and stuff, like I said in my post,
Oh,
nothing.
I don't want to get to him yet.
Oh,
Not
you know
yet.
I'm ready.
Not yet.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about representation for a little bit, okay?
All
One of
right.
the reasons why I wanted to talk about representation because black folks tend to get excited whenever black people are in a film, right? No matter what it is, we get excited. Oh, it's a black person, yay! No. All representation is not good. What does it represent? What is it representing, right? Like everybody got excited about this Little Mermaid, right? Now, I'm happy that, little black girls are happy seeing an image of a black woman being beautiful in a mermaid, which the mermaid stories actually came from Africa.
I know.
We really
When I
want to
post,
get into
you saw when I posted that? When I posted, I
Mhm.
got so much backlash. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I got so much backlash for that. I
Because
said,
our
why?
people don't know. Because our people don't know their real history.
One
That's why.
person literally Googled it and said, "Is this? You mean this from 1985?" I said, "That's a children's book based
Right.
off of the story." And the girl deleted her comment. I was like, it's crazy how people, but our folks, we're so quick to say, let's prove so and so wrong. I have a big
Mm-hmm.
platform, so whenever I post anything and it gets a lot of support,
Right.
it's oh, let's not give Jeff his flowers. Let's knock him down because people just blindly, we don't want him to seem smart. It's disgusting. But go
Yes,
ahead,
it
though.
is.
Hey,
Very much so. Well, what is being represented though, right? So I've seen some of the videos of some of the beautiful little black girls, being happy and bursting into tears, seeing this beautiful black girl with a beautiful voice, singing
she can sing
as
now.
a
She can
mermaid.
sing.
Yes,
And
she
like
can.
Rashawn said, 80s baby said, bandwagon
Right,
mentality. Because when you
right.
think differently, and I think differently on a lot of things, including politics,
Mm-hmm.
instead of people sitting down to say, oh, let's hear what you have to say. Because a lot of times when people actually hear me, they go, oh my God, I never thought of
Right.
that. They just want to attack. They're so focused on just saying you're wrong. So to
Yeah.
justify themselves. But go ahead. You said beautiful voice. She has an awesome voice.
Yes, she does. She has the voice of an angel, as they say. She really does. But my thing is, we have to look at the total picture of what's being represented, right? And also, little black boys need to see themselves represented as well. No, right?
Yeah, that's not why I was laughing.
Little black boys need to see images of black men loving, respecting, and appreciating black women. And in particular, beautiful dark-skinned black women, not just always the high yellow black women, but dark-skinned black women as well. But what are little black girls going to see when they see this film? They're going to see they're going to see this beautiful black woman all hooked up with a white guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to see her. They're not going to see her with a black man. The same thing with Brandy.
Okay.
The same thing with Brandy when she was Cinderella. They use it. They go against showing black on black love, but they use it under the guise of being diverse, right? Because Cinderella, you had Brandy as Cinderella, you had Whitney as her fairy godmother, you had Whoopi Goldberg as the princess.
Are you talking about this is all just Disney, right?
Was that by Disney?
No,
that one with
I can go
Brandy and
deeper than
Isabel?
that.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry, I know y'all think I hate Tyler Perry. I do, but he does it too.
Yeah, I know he does, but in that movie, Brandy, her prince was like an Asian guy. He wasn't black. And then one of my friends I was talking to earlier, she said that movie, The Princess and the Frog, which I did not watch, she said also in that film, which was animated, her prince was also white. They don't like to show black people loving each other in romantic, happy situations like that too often. So they purposely show these beautiful black women with these white men because they don't want to show images of black people loving each other. And again, like I said, I'm happy about the black girls who get to see themselves represented, but black boys need to see themselves represented in loving black women as well. We always complain about how some black men treat black women, but they need to see images of black men loving black women.
Well,
in a
I
healthy
hate
way.
to say it, but when we do see movies of us together, right? There's movies like Baby Boy, and what happened? That he beat on. No, I'm agreeing with you. We need to change that. I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
We see shit like Hustle and Flow or Empire, where Lucius literally was. I mean, his son was fucking his woman that while he was married to Cookie. Like, when we do see it, it's bad examples. I won't get on Tyler Perry.
It's always dysfunctional. Well, we already talked. Well, you know how I feel about him too, because you know, as an actor myself, people have asked me, "What would you do if Tyler Perry hit you up and asked you to be in one of his films?" I'm like, well, first of all,
he reached out to me to be on Medea's Homecoming, and I posted it. People thought it was fake, and he reached out to me, and I laughed in his face. I said, I would never be on one of your fucking movies.
First of all, I would have to read the script to see what it is first, because I'm not going to just automatically do it.
No, you could pay
9 times out of 10 I won't.
It was for a 4-minute scene, and I was like, no, I'm not. He was like, well, you're so critical of my movies, and I always see your tweets and da da da. Great. I don't want to. Why are you trying to buy me off? Because I'm not going to give him the satisfaction to say, oh, all you have to do is throw money at this guy, and he'll shut up. Because I will go there, be in your film, and still ridicule you. Thanks for the check. But I'm not a sellout. But I'm not a sellout.
But see, that's why, you know, representation is very important. Like, even when it comes to the whole politics thing, right? Joe Biden, which I'm not going to stay on politics long, Joe Biden purposely picked Kamala Harris because he knew that she was not going to be about black people. Okay, not to say that every black person is with a white person.
Y'all know I hate
is not going to fight, but you know, the majority of black people that's with white people are not going to fight for black people like that. Most of them.
Good point made. Someone said good business. That's not good business.
Right.
But go ahead.
But and then when it came to who he picked for judge, right? Okay, he had a long list at first, and I think he had 1 or 2 black women judges on that list that may have been married to a black man. One of them was
the first ones cut off.
Huh?
They were the first ones that he.
Of course, he only put them up there for show. But there was a black woman up there who seemed to be very in touch with the black community. Of course, he would have never picked her. So the short list consisted of all black women who were married to white men. Okay. And I also heard that Kamala was the one who advised him on that list as well.
Yep.
So of course, you know, so
because
all
where she come from, right? and also he only picked, and I was very happy for Ketanji Brown Jackson. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
She was the only one who was a little bit softer on crime. All the other ones that Kamala had put on his list were the same as she was. Just throw away, lock them up and ask questions later. As long as it helps me get to the next level. Fuck let the person after me handle it.
Kamala only pretended to be black long enough
for 6 months, and everyone fell for it
to get votes.
And we ain't heard shit from the bitch. But let me stop.
She felt like all she had to do was go Wakanda forever and say a couple of little cool.
Don't forget
her. A lot of black people fell for that shit.
Don't forget her blasting Cardi B, Bodak Yellow, at her campaign event the day before the election. I said, and then she was trying to sing along to it, didn't know the words. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to stay on Kamala
either.
But
you know, people
as I was saying,
people are logging off, so people are sensitive about them. Go ahead.
Okay, we're not going to stay on them. But yeah, representation is very important. That's why myself, as a filmmaker, as a screenplay writer, myself, I make sure to show us in a certain light and more positive light. Of course, everything is not perfect, but I show us in a positive light. I'm very intentional on showing black people loving each other and friendship and brotherhood and romantic relationships. And I'm also very intentional on making sure that I cast dark-skinned actors as well and dark-skinned actresses in positive roles. I don't do that colorism stuff at all. I care about all black people from different complexions. So it's very important that we take charge of our own representation. You know, we need to control our own narrative. No one is going to control it or do it as good as us, right? You know what I'm saying? When I was at the film festival recently here in Baltimore, and I was asked to host one of the talkbacks at the film festival.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I saw a whole lot of really great independent films by black filmmakers that show black people and the way that we want to be seen, not just always in the middle of dysfunction all the time. Because normally they show us in dysfunctional situations because of dysfunction in the Black community.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment, and it's very profitable for the society. They profit off of the pain and the dysfunction in our communities. Are you seeing something?
No, I was.
Comment. Hey, everybody.
Somebody joined that I thought I had blocked, but they must be joining it from your page. Go ahead.
Oh, God. No. Somebody you think you blocked? Okay.
It's okay. I don't entertain that stuff no more. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like I said, with the whole representation thing, it's important that we take charge of that because no one is going to represent us as well as we do. And as far as the Woman King, I have some things to say about that because when I go watch a film, I'm careful to watch everything. On the surface, people will think it's just a beautiful film. And it was beautifully shot and all that. But I've noticed some things that I'm not going to get into on here right now because you have not seen it. So we can talk about
just like the Harriet movie, I know people were unhappy about the actress who played Harriet. Mm-hmm. We don't have to get into that right now because that was a couple years ago, but that was a thing too. I get it, but I know you're talking about the cinematography and some of the messages in the movie.
Yeah, there were some messages in that.
We could do a part 2 where we could talk about it. I'm gonna sit down. It's on HBO Max as of Friday, so I'm gonna sit down and watch it then, and we could try to do it again. Yeah, I got an email today. It tells me new stuff coming, and it's on there.
Because when I first heard about the Woman King, I was very excited about it. Right, I was so excited about it, and I thought that finally, and of course, I like to see Black women and Black men in powerful positions, and I thought finally they're going to show Black people winning, and they're going to show Black people kicking some, you know what ass.
There was a comment. So Artsy Guy 30 said they always showcase Black men and women in the same roles. So yeah, representation is so vital. And as I was stating earlier, like the example I gave about Miss Tyler Perry, and even Jordan Peele does it with Get Out and stuff. But his was different. He actually proved a better point. But it's like when they are together, when we are together, it's always drama, it's always dysfunction, or it's stereotypical.
Yeah, even if it's a love story between Black people, it always have to have a backdrop of trauma.
And it always involves infidelity or violence.
Yeah, always.
It's always infidelity, violence, and then family gets involved. They ain't got no business in it.
Like with that film, Queen and Slim.
Oh, don't get me started. And he sold them out at the end.
Of course they would do that. And then they both had to be shot and killed like animals
by the police.
Right. I didn't like that at all.
And released it the day right after the who's the I can't breathe guy, Gardner. Right after that version. I just like come on. But go ahead.
Yeah, so the next thing we can talk about, which has a lot going on with it, we can get into the whole Kyrie Irving.
It doesn't have to. Yeah, it could be all three of them collectively because I stood with all three of them.
I stand with all three of them as well.
I made a post trying to explain it, and all I got. You could tell when people read with intent and read to respond. Mm-hmm. The people who read with intent who didn't agree with me. I respect them. I always tell people all the time, I don't care if you come on my post, even in real life discussions, people know my political views and stuff. They don't always agree, but they understand me. They understand them. And if you ask questions to understand and you still say, okay, I see how you look at that, but I just don't agree because I have a different worldview, I will respect the hell out of you. But the second you go, oh, you sound dumb for that, or how can you go, you sound like a coon, or how can you think that you're not trying to be educated. You're trying, you just want to belittle and you want to respond because of your own projection. That's not my problem.
Right. Well, first of all, when somebody jumps out the gate and calls me out my name, we don't have any more to talk about.
The second you get disrespectful, I do this on social media thing.
Right.
If I say anything and you name call, you get disrespectful, I'm just removing you. I'm not even going to entertain you because if I entertain you or respond to a name you called me, then I'm validating that name because what is the saying? It is what you respond to.
Mm-hmm. And people should be able to agree to disagree without being disrespectful
or getting fired for saying something that's historically factual. Like a comment said, I love how Kyrie stands up for himself. Now I don't know what's going on with him now, but as far as the COVID thing, he was solid on that. Exactly. And the COVID
Well,
thing,
actually, we'll see with Kyrie, he didn't do anything wrong.
he just
All he
reshared
did,
something.
all he did was share something. He didn't really say anything about it. He just shared it,
I
said
mean,
that he saw it.
Carlton, we're in a society now. Today, Trump announced he was running again, and I retweeted it. And people were in my mentions going
They
off.
accuse you of, I know what you're about to say. They accuse you of being a big Trump supporter, right?
Right. And they
Right.
were going off.
And
I looked at Twitter. I have my notifications turned off for mentions. I had 96 mentions of being called all kinds of names. I'm like, who are you people? All I did was retweet this. And I retweeted to say FYI.
right,
I didn't
right.
say
Like,
yes, thank God, nothing. I just said
yeah.
FYI. I didn't even say
Like,
I just retweeted
like
it.
exactly like when I know people are gonna get upset. I'm not gonna stay on them,
Say
but I'm
it.
gonna say it right quick. Like when Kamala and Joe Biden were running, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we would dare to question them, right?
Oh
If we
God.
dare question them
Oh
and some of
God.
the things they're doing,
Oh,
people will
you're a Trump
automatically say, you must be a Trump supporter. So we are not allowed to question these people.
And
We're just
look
supposed to
now.
go along with whatever they
And we
say.
are silent now. And look what happened. Uh, I'm not going to talk about that. Check your stocks, people. But anyways, I took all mine
I
out
mean,
the
it's
other
stuff
day.
like that. People automatically jump out the gate and call you a Trump supporter
They
just
do
because
that
you
because it's
question
an easy
them.
deflection. It's an easy deflection, and it goes away from the point you're making.
Right.
It's easy. The same thing if you're in an argument with your spouse or something, and you're talking about how they don't clean up after themselves, and they bring up you cheating 3 years ago.
Yeah, the same thing they did to Ice Cube, right?
Oh man.
I mean, Ice Cube was actually really trying to look out for black people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that attacked him didn't even bother to go read that contract with Black America. He made it available online for people to go
No,
look at it and read.
because they saw the picture of him at the table. But my thing is, I always tell people, this is the thing I always tell people. Do you want to have a seat at the table, or you want to just like look at during Reconstruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we were allowed to vote, we had all the seats in the South, and we took over. We passed many
Right.
legislation. We had the Freedmen's Bureau, and then right after the few, and then unfortunately they passed those laws that created the black codes and stuff. And when they got all of us out of the South, out of Congress, in the South, right? We didn't have any representation, and look what happened. There was segregation. Jim Crow prevailed. They had poll taxes. They had literacy tests. We, for 40 years, struggled. And then when we were not allowed to have a voice. So don't get mad at the person trying to sit at the table to make a difference. And that is some of the way I'm chastised in the same manner. You get
Right.
mad, but when I'm speaking up and speaking to give us a voice, because I'm respected by the other party. Very much so.
Okay.
Same thing
People,
Ice Cube did.
some of our people get mad at everything because I'm someone that's not even, I don't really care about sitting at the table. I'm one of those black folks that's trying to build my own table for black people. I'm building my own damn black table. I'm not trying to get a seat at that table. I don't really want to be in
You and Booker
Hollywood
T.
as an
Washington would
actor.
get along very well.
Say what?
You and Booker T. Washington would get along very well because that's exactly what he said. Verbatim.
I'm not looking for a seat at that table. I've had black folks say to me, "Don't you might want to calm all that pro-black stuff down because they said to me, white people have all the power and white people have all the money, and you don't want to make it to a certain level and they find out something that you said, and then they come back and take it from you." And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't want to even give them that power over me to be able to take anything from me, right? I don't want to give them that power to be able to take anything from me, like what Kyrie Irving is going through now, and other black folks who have the nerve to speak out. Dare to speak the truth about a certain community of people who are bullied.
But you say something bad about our own, nothing.
Right.
It was our own people getting mad.
Yeah.
But nothing happened.
Exactly. And some black folks get mad at me for saying I want to build my own table. Right? Because
they don't have a table to sit at.
Well, they can try to
legit.
They can try to build one though.
Huh?
They can try to build their own.
Okay.
They can try to build a black table for other black people and themselves. That's what I'm trying to do. Right? Did somebody say something?
No, someone said y'all preaching. Hold on. Even if you're a Trump supporter, which I'm not, that's called a democracy. You got the right to vote for who you want. Exactly.
So people don't see it that way nowadays. People want to automatically cancel you. You dare to do one thing they don't like, and they don't want you to be successful in anything ever again. They want you to be banished from the earth and never be seen or heard from again. They just want you to fail for the rest of your life because you did something or dared to think differently than them, right? Mm-hmm. That's how people do people nowadays, and it's mostly in the Black community. And I want to talk.
That's the thing. We are our biggest executioners.
Yeah. But one of the last things before, well, I'm not going to talk about it yet. But one of the last things I do want to talk about before we get off here is about being on code, which a lot of our people don't know about. But we need to talk about that.
Can you elaborate what that means, just for my clarity as well?
Right now, even though we're not going to talk about it right now, you want to talk?
Oh! You said you didn't want to talk about it. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to talk about it before we get off here, but not right now.
Okay.
I want to stay on this whole thing with the whole J-ish community and how they have bullied the Black community, and they're always portraying themselves as victims, right? They're always portraying themselves as victims when they have also been perpetrators. They were involved in the enslavement of our people, okay? You know that. They were involved in the enslavement of our people. So they're not just Holocaust victims. Our people also had a Holocaust in Germany, not just in this country. We also had a Holocaust in Germany.
We did.
We had a Holocaust in Australia. We had a Holocaust in a lot of places, our people, right?
We sure did have one in Australia. Matter of fact, some of the first inhabitants, they let them tell it. The first inhabitants were just, what are they? They said it was an overflow for people from Germany or England.
Right.
And I'm like, you guys do understand that the first settlements were literally us being thrown over there.
Right.
Legit. You can look it up. As a matter of fact, some of the first explorers, like Vasco da Gama and Leif Erikson, some of when they participated in their share of the slave trade, they dumped us over there. They're not ready. But when you say that, it's like, oh, okay. No one likes to hear that. But you're right. And while the Holocaust in World War II was horrible, I do debate some of the numbers, but I'm not going to have a discussion right now. While it was horrible, they also leave out that there were Black victims. They leave that out all the time. There were.
I shared that book. I shared that book on my page of
Hitler's Black victims.
The Black Holocaust in Germany.
Then
that people don't like to talk about.
And then, even prior to that, when there was when the Treaty of Versailles, and I'm not trying to bore y'all with the World War I lesson, but the Treaty of Versailles brought French colonization over the Rhineland. And in the Rhineland, there were a lot of Black soldiers. They were persecuted before the Holocaust. They were just killed on sight because they thought we were raping their women. So it was a lot of it. But of course, when it comes to us and our struggle, it's, oh, well, they need to get over it. It was a long time ago. You say something about certain other groups, and look what happened to those three upstanding Black gentlemen. One lost all his endorsements, but he's still shitting on everybody. He ain't worried about y'all. And he's announcing an album coming out Friday, by the way.
People look at, first of all, you know what we're talking about. He says things that are very conscious, but then he'll turn around and say something that people see as problematic, right? And the things that people consider problematic are what they focus on. They don't see the other stuff.
I'm gonna quote something in a second. Go ahead.
Right. I tend to try to look at the whole picture. Now, I know people talk about his mental health often.
That's
some things it seem like he's doing it intentionally to make a point.
The person like questioning the upstanding comment, you missed what I said earlier, but go ahead.
Like the whole thing about when he said slavery is a choice, right?
That everyone took out of context. Go ahead.
Yeah, because there were instances where our people did fight back and won. Of course, they don't want to talk about those instances where Black people fought back and won, including like what happened in Haiti, which again, they don't want to talk about that, where Danny Glover wanted to have a film done about the Haitian Revolution. But of course, Hollywood would not back that because they don't want to show images of Black people conquering, Europeans. And I shared a video, I think I shared that video from TikTok earlier, where a young sister was talking about the Haitian Revolution and how you know, before we accepted the version of religion that they gave us, you know, when we practiced voodoo, right? Voodoo, they told us that voodoo was evil, but voodoo was actually something that we used in a positive way to help our people. And they used voodoo in the Haitian Revolution to help win against
I learned
the
that. I
Europeans.
learned that in American Horror Story. I'm not being funny. Angela
Right.
Bassett played the Voodoo Queen,
Hmm.
um, and you know, I'm an avid Angela Bassett fan. Um, but I learned that.
Yeah, because they had the Europeans, they had all these weapons, right? They had all these advanced weapons for that time, whereas the Haitians didn't have all those weapons that they had, but yet they still won, right?
Hmm.
And some credit the fact that they called on the ancestors and so forth, and they used the voodoo to help them win the war against Caucasians. Which again, they don't want to show that because they don't want to show images of Black folks winning because they think we might get the bright idea that we could win again. Because right now, Black folks just feel that like we can't ever win again. We're stuck where we're at. And I'm like, we have to stop passing on the torch of oppression to our children. We have to start pressing on, we have to start passing on empowerment to our children and being very intentional on showing our children to love the skin at their end, first and foremost, and to love each other as a people. Not to hate anybody else, but we need to
Sorry.
teach our children to love ourselves first. What were you going to say? And you did you
No,
find the quote that you were looking for?
no. I was putting my phone. Somebody was texting asking me what the link to this is, then picked up the phone and called me.
Hmm. Okay. They wanted the link to this, or
Did you hear what I said?
yeah,
They called me asking me the
yeah,
link
I
to
heard
the
you.
live. Okay. But I'm gonna. But no.
Okay, so what was the quote that you wanted to
So basically,
recite?
it was the part saying, I will sum it up. It is saying that I cannot be anti-Semitic because I, as a Black man, was a Jew, would have been a Jew.
Hmm.
Um, and the same thing, just like when I say Black people can't be racist, we cannot be anti-Semitic. Um,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that statement.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, because people are so focused on disliking the person who stated it, because I have a feeling if someone like Beyonce or Lil Nas X would have said it, no one would have had a problem. They would have just
Hmm.
said, "Oh, well," they wouldn't have said anything. They would have, just like with Cardi B and some others, they just turn a blind eye to them because they personally like
Right.
those people or they relate to them. But when a Black man who is very articulate, vibrant, who is a bit controversial, because I'm the same way. I'm not uh, as forward as him, but I respect
Right.
the fact that he speaks his mind because Black men should always be allowed to. But unfortunately, when we don't say what everyone wants to hear or we challenge what they think, it makes them uncomfortable.
But you
It
see
makes them
what they did.
scared.
You,
Right.
mhm. You see what they did to Nick Cannon, right?
Uh, refresh me. Which
Well,
part?
you know, he spoke out about the whole Jewish thing,
Oh, and so
and
did Deshaun Jackson, the football player.
right, and they made him bow down and
See, you
apologize.
should
He
never
went.
apologize. Even if what you said might have seemed insensitive, you should never apologize for what you said.
Mhm.
Stand by it, and if you feel it, I don't. I'm a firm believer, and I'm not explaining myself.
Well, the
But
reason why a lot of them apologize is because
they don't want the money.
these Jewish people hold the strings to a lot of their livelihoods, right? That's how they get them. That's how they make them bow down and apologize for telling the truth.
Hmm.
Get into that. Apologizing for speaking the truth. That's because they have that power over them, and we have to figure out how to stick together and stand up when one of our people speak out. We need to be able to have their back. That's one of the reasons why some Black people don't speak out is because they know they're going to be hanging out there by themselves
Hmm.
a lot of times.
Hold on. Someone said,
Nick,
Javon said, Nick almost lost his Viacom deal. Can you see the comments?
yeah, I see that one. Yeah.
But no, and that's the thing. We shouldn't be punished because, but see, the thing is, certain folks who control the bank and the banking
Mm-hmm.
cartels, and that was one of the biggest things. The folks who control some of the banking cartels and stuff, they're the ones who have control over this. They're only reacting negatively because they don't, the donors or the people who own these corporations whatever. So it seems like somebody in the comments really doesn't like Kanye West, but he's not getting the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health shaming. I found out last year, and I'm not going to make this about me, but I went through a whole mental health thing myself when everyone thought I'm a strong friend, and I am. I'm very strong, but even I suffer, and I got help.
But
I'm not
I'm gonna
crazy.
tell you something right quick.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna tell you something right quick. A lot of black folks, even some who are not aware, suffer from some type of mental illness,
Oh yeah.
post-traumatic stress disorder, or post-traumatic slave syndrome, as Dr. Joy DeGraw talks about.
Okay.
Our people have been traumatized. Have you heard of DNA memory? Have you heard of that discussed before?
Vaguely.
Well, DNA memory is basically just saying that the DNA from our ancestors, which is in our bodies, it has memory in it, whether we realize it or not. And all that trauma that they went through is still
We
in
feel
us. And you have to realize that they literally were traumatized for centuries, right? They were beaten, raped, not just the women. They raped the men, the children, and
Oh yeah.
and forced to do all types of stuff, treated like animals, breeded like animals, and their families and their children sold off. And that went on for centuries with absolutely no help, no mental healing from that, right? And here we are today, still going through some of that same stuff, like being targeted just for being black. I've been through police brutality. You said you've been through police brutality. I've also had my run-ins with racist doctors trying to take my life because they don't see any value in black life and they use black people as guinea pigs in their hospital.
Tuskegee experiment. Cough.
Yeah, that stuff still goes on to this day. Okay.
Which is why we were distrusting of COVID. I'm not. That's why a lot of us were distrusting of the vaccine.
Yes, and so a lot of our people have issues because we're being traumatized. I was traumatized by that whole situation. One of the times, it was more than once, with the whole police brutality thing. You know, when I wasn't doing anything wrong, I didn't do anything wrong to have to be arrested for. He said it when he got to the police station with myself and 5 other young black guys at the time, that he made his quota. That's what he said. I made my quota. I like to keep the boss happy. That's right? That's what it was all about. He knew that we hadn't done anything wrong. He just wanted to arrest some black guys. And he put his hands on me in a violent way, put his hands around my throat and all this other kind of stuff. So a lot of us have trauma and have some mental problems sometimes. That doesn't mean that you're crazy. I mean, like 2 years ago, back in late February or early March of 2020, I almost had a quote unquote breakdown, right? Because I take what our people are going through very seriously.
Right.
And I was on edge because I was being attacked. I was being attacked by other black people for saying I have a black first mentality, right? And so that was
mentality?
A black first mentality, that I put black people first.
But why, even if that is the case, why is that a problem?
Because the self-hatred in the black community.
My goodness,
we've been trained and we've been programmed.
Just like we all have to vote Democrat. We all
but we've been trained
for BET.
Right.
Right.
We've been trained and we've been programmed to be protective of whiteness, right? And a lot of that has to do with that image of that long, stringy-haired white Jesus, right? That has a control over a lot of black people's minds. That image of that so-called white savior, and that's why we are protective of white folks, because of growing up seeing that. And so we attack black people who say they're black first. And so one day in late February, early March, I was feeling really on edge, and it got worse as the day went on. And I felt like I was about to go out of my mind, and I probably would have if it hadn't been for 2 of my friends who talked to me like 3 o'clock in the morning on the phone. You know, they helped to get me, and I burst out in tears and everything. And I've actually shed tears before over what our people go through in this country. So this shit can drive you crazy. It can drive you crazy, and it doesn't help when other black people attack you for it. Right? But I understand that's because of self-hatred. Self-hatred is very real in the black community. It's very real, and we need to heal that self-hatred.
Yeah, we are, like I said, I've had people go toe to toe with me about Kanye, and some black people or people that I've supported, and they will make every justification to say, oh, this person, whatever. But I'm like, what happened to, or I'm not even going to get into this, but like, God forbid, like Nicki Minaj, like I didn't even know the Grammy Awards still came on, but she didn't get a Grammy, and they who cares? It's a white award. No one looks at it but the white folks.
I don't even watch that anymore.
I didn't even know they came on, but they are sitting here making fun of a black woman who's successful and has done a lot for black people to uplift a dumb Spanish girl who's ignorant. And when I say stop tearing at black women, it's, oh, well, Nicki did this, Nicki did this. You guys just don't like her because you relate to because she overcame your favorite. She usurped your favorite artist. But then when something happens to us, they're quick to say, support our black women, support Black Lives Matter. I'm like, please keep that same energy, not just for a hashtag to get likes, but have the same energy at all times. Don't just pick and choose for your own clout. You guys are using propaganda from a reward show that no one watches no more to tear down our own. But when you break it down like that, they don't want to hear that. So, and the other thing I was going to say too, while I had the thought, the whole Trayvon Martin thing, like I put up a status and I was pretty angry about that because I've went through police brutality 3 different times. I've been locked up. I've been shot at in my own apartment before because they had the wrong house allegedly, and nothing came above that. It took 4 years for me to finally get a settlement for that. But anyways, and when I put up a status that was pretty colorful, people were like, "Oh, Jeff, take that down. You shouldn't say that. People are gonna be hurt by you saying it." But I called George Zimmerman some names that sounded racial, but cracker was one of them. And people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that about them." I said, "So what about Trayvon? I'm angry for him and his family. You're worried about how they were like, oh, your white friends might not like this. Your white friends aren't gonna like." My white friends were angry. The white friends who know me and respect me, that I respect, were angry as I was about that verdict. They don't care what I have to say. I mean, they didn't care about that. But people were so worried about protecting their feelings.
But see, that's what a lot of black folks who have white friends do. They worry more about their black friends' feelings than they do about the well-being, the collective well-being of our people. And I also tried to press charges against that cop that put his hands on me and arrested me wrongfully. Of course, they gave me the runaround. They gave me the big runaround.
Because you can't have your buddies investigate you.
That's right.
But you know, just like one thing I'm gonna say about this, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's the first time I say it. Just like, remember, y'all's lovely president and vice president was talking about the George Floyd policing bill, and what happened with all Democrat Congress and Senate, House and Senate, but then we were able to pass Stop Asian Hate in 2 days from 3 alleged hate crimes.
2 days.
It took 2 days.
And who has been hated more and longer than black people? We don't have an anti.
And get this, all the alleged hate crimes from COVID, none of them reported. They were reported.
Actually, you know, I've always said I thought that shit was trumped up.
It was fake. It was fake because, and then on top of that, I'm like, you guys did that to distract. I said, but that was stupid. And then what do we do? A week later, we passed June 16th as a holiday, which I'm very happy about. But it missed the entire point. You do that to go, let's just throw them a bone. And yet we're still getting killed by the police.
Just recently. That just happened again recently. It hasn't stopped. You know, and I know you sent me something yesterday with this singer. I've never heard of her, who decided to wear Kanye's face all over her dress. Or her outfit. And then what's her name? The one that Aretha said can't sing, Taylor Swift. You know, Aretha said great gowns. In other words, what Aretha was saying, she can wear a cute. Aretha was saying she can wear a cute dress, but the bitch can't sing. That's what Aretha was saying about Taylor Swift. There you go.
They were doing something.
They ain't like me talking about Taylor.
Okay, don't get me started on that redneck cunt.
Oh my God, yo! Don't get me cut off. But yeah, well, I don't care. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
other people might be offended by you saying that
I
about
don't
Taylor
care.
Swift.
I don't care.
Right.
Anyone who likes her, that I don't. I usually don't associate with, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is what I wanted to say about being on code. What I mean by that is, other
Mm-hmm.
races have inner issues, right?
Okay.
Other races have inner issues, and they don't get along about everything. They have problems, but for the most part, most of those other races, they don't put all their inner problems out in front of the whole world and
Sure
let
don't. They keep it
everybody see
within the
them.
family.
Yeah, they don't let everybody see them arguing back and forth. Whereas we put everything out there for everybody, and we will even invite other races to stick their mouths in the conversation.
Yep.
Like a few years ago, do you remember when Tyrese Gibson, the singer actor, he had made this video where he was crying? It had something to do with his daughter and custody of his daughter.
Mm.
Wanting to share. You don't remember Tyrese crying in a video? He
Fortunate.
was
Wait. Yes. This is a couple years. This is a while ago. Yeah.
yeah, and people were berating him and calling him weak for
Because
crying.
I remember that now.
And they made jokes about it. They even made a song about him crying with his voice, hearing him crying.
And they wonder
And
why black men won't go to counseling.
yeah, exactly.
Because I was one of those people who thought like that. I did not go to
Mhm.
counseling and stuff because I thought I was weak. I thought it meant that I was weak and soft. When I lost one of my best friends, you know the one you met at that debate
Yeah,
where
I
you were sitting
remember.
up there in the same spot, looking over it.
We're not gonna talk about that place, but go on.
No, I know. And I had a very hard time, and that was amongst my other mental health issues.
Yeah,
And it got to the point I literally had family members saying, "Why are you like?" When I got on social media and I wasn't going out, no one heard from me. That went on for like 6 months. I literally had people say, "Whose attention are you trying to get?" I said, "Excuse me."
what?
I mean, but that's just how our people are. Like, I
Mhm.
literally, it was some of my own family, man, and some of my close friends were like, "Oh, you never seemed like there was a problem." Like, everyone thought I had an agenda. Literally, there were people who thought I had an agenda. There were people who were like, "Oh, you're stronger than that. Come up out of it, or just go to church, or just whoever's making you mad." That was my favorite one. Who upset you? What's got you so
Right,
upset? Just cut them off. And I said, if you guys had any education about what mental health is and stuff, or in his case, he was talking about his child, man,
right.
like have some empathy.
Yeah, and the thing that I was gonna say about that is
Go ahead.
we invite not only don't we stay on code, but we invite other races to stick their mouths in the conversation because that
And they
white
don't know
guy,
shit. They don't be knowing
that
shit.
white guy, it was either Gary Owen, that comedian, or that other guy, Rappaport, right? They kind of look alike to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was some white comedian. He got online and he made a video laughing at and teasing
Mm.
Tyrese for crying.
Mm.
And instead of black people checking his white ass for
They
teasing a black
laughed.
man about crying over his daughter, they let him do it. And they even supported him doing it, right? They should have shut him down.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
but
I'm
let
talking
us do
about
that.
being on code. Because white folks and other races, even though they may have problems within their race, they solve their problems away from everybody else. They don't let everybody else see them going at it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by being on code. Even when we have a problem with somebody or disagree with somebody of our race, we should pull them up properly and not put everything out there in front of everybody to see and
No, we
invite
gotta make
other
an
people.
example of them. We gotta tell them this ain't right. Don't act like that. Don't do that.
Right. But we don't need to be doing it in front of everybody. And we damn sure don't need to be inviting other races into something that involves our people. Because as I've always said, our people need a healing, a mass healing, because we've never healed from all these centuries of trauma. Okay. And we need to be able to do that on our own without interference from other races.
Someone said they move as a unit and aren't
Right.
divisive. I mean, it
Right.
goes back even to slavery. I mean, hell, even when there was a group about to escape, they literally have to walk around and make sure someone doesn't go snitch because
Mm-hmm.
they don't want them to go to freedom. They don't want them to do well.
Because some of our people felt comfortable on the plantation.
And then
Just
no.
like just
Mm-hmm.
like today. Just like today, some of our people feel comfortable on the plantation,
Mm-hmm.
right? They think this is freedom. This is not freedom what we're living under right now. It's not.
It
And
happens with
people,
I mean, even in the workplace, we snitch on each other. We hate on each
mm-hmm,
other. Even on Facebook, if I see a friend buy a new car, I don't care what kind of car they have. Okay, I don't care what
mm-hmm,
kind of car they have. They bought a fucking car. Congratulations.
Right.
I have seen
Exactly.
people post they got their new car and it'll be a 2008 Nissan. Oh, that's all that he can afford. It's a Nissan.
Right.
Who drives a Nissan? He broke. Or they buy a house. Oh, they scammed to get it. Or who bought them that? They got a sugar. She got a sugar daddy because she was
Right.
broke when she lived here.
But see,
Why?
we only do that to each other. We only do that to each other.
And then under the comments, and then half the people
Right.
saying congratulations or you go girl. They turn around and we'll talk about them. And I'm like, what's with the fake
Mhm.
love? But with like when I got my doctorate, I was I had people questioning if I really got it because I got it so fast. I went through an online accelerated program and
Right.
I did it through my job as a work study. I had what's called experiential learning portfolios. I was able to
Hmm.
skip. And I literally had people when I threw a party, they literally were like, how in the world? Or they were questioning it. And I'm like, why does there need to be a question? And then, or my other thing, last thing I'm gonna say, when I did post my accomplishment,
Hmm.
it was, oh, he just wants attention, he wants clout, or maybe I'm posting it to inspire other people to pursue their education. Because
And
whenever I post things like that, I get people all the time. But guess these people saying it? White folks. They message me and say, "I just love that. I'm happy for you. I
mhm.
showed this to my son, and now he's going to school." Our own be bad mouthing us because they're
Because
projecting their insecurity.
right,
So
we've been taught to be against each other and battle each other. That's all we have to do things. We have to do things to combat that. We have to heal that. That's a sickness. I mean, just like you know the whole thing about the doll test, right? The doll test that was done back in the 50s and 60s, and it
man,
was done
yes.
again in the
What is it? Which
2000s.
dog was the good one?
Yeah, where they take a black doll and a white doll and they put it in front of these black children
And they
and
said
they
which one's the
actually
good one and bad
they
one.
ask them when they ask them which doll is the good one and the smart one and the pretty
I
one.
think 80% of them said the white one.
Yeah, they pick the white doll as being the pretty one, the good one, and the smart one,
Oh,
and then they
that
pick
made
the
me so
black doll
sad.
as being
I wanted
they
to
pick the
cry when I
black
saw her.
doll as being the bad, ugly one and dumb one, which is saying that our children are growing up thinking that they're subconsciously thinking
Inferior.
that they're less than, thinking that they're less than white folks, and that's not okay. That's because we have to be very intentional on instilling that in our children to
Yep.
love who they are, to love the skin that they're in, and teaching our true history to our children, and that it did not start with slavery as well, and even after slavery. We need to teach them the whole truth. Like even with Dr. Martin Luther King, for instance, right? You know that's coming up soon,
Oh yeah.
his birthday. Now, they only talk about one part of Dr. Martin Luther King when his birthday comes up. They only talk about that "I Have a Dream"
God's
speech,
dream speech.
and,
But
and they and they only focus on like two
pacifism.
sentences,
His
right?
his pacifism. They don't
Right.
talk about when he became militant.
Yeah, when he said, I feared I would let my people into a burning home, the whole speech that he did about reparations.
And the letter from a Birmingham jail.
Right,
Don't forget that one.
exactly. Oh, I haven't. And the speeches that he done about being proud of your blackness and not let anybody take that from you. And like I said, the one about reparations, because we're talking about reparations now today, heavy. But there's some black people who don't feel that we should have reparations, which they need to sit down somewhere
Man,
with that because
who
we deserve it. Everybody else got it.
about
So
that real quick? I don't know if this a good friend, one of my closest friends from high school. We were just laughing about this earlier. We shouldn't laugh, but when I took AP Government, we did AP like
mhm,
when the elections are going on. That's when you learn about
right.
debates and stuff. And we
Mhm,
did a debate, and one of the topics was reparations. So I'm
mhm,
sitting there, we're talking about why we deserve it. One thing, oh, that's a white girl, mind you, where I grew up, it was an upper income area. A white
mhm.
girl got up there and literally stood in front of the whole class and said, the main reason we should have reparations is because black people take up money in jails and with welfare. So we've already spent all the money on them. And and
What? Is
and
that what she said?
I don't know if he's on here. He's probably not gonna comment. He's kind of private.
Really?
She said, "I'm ad libbing," but that's exactly what she said. I'm ad libbing. It was probably 78% of what she said, but her words were, "We're spending all our money on black people already. They are taking." She said they are a huge part of our jail population, and we spend a lot of money on them on welfare. That's what she
Well,
said.
first of
I'm
all,
like,
we're in jail because we're targeted a lot. We're targeted, and also the
right?
majority of people on welfare are Caucasian,
Yeah,
not black people.
white women,
Right.
Caucasians,
Right.
and they also arguably benefited from affirmative action more than we did.
Right.
Because every time it's happened to me at my own profession when I started off, I walked in and they looked at me funny. When they announced, oh, this is the new leadership, they looked at me. And I'm just like, I walked in classes in grad school at Georgetown. And the professor literally said, oh, what are you here for? And I said, quantitative research methods. She was like, the graduate level class? I mean, literally.
Well, they don't want to give you credit for anything.
I just said, oh, this is what we're doing. Good old Georgetown. Georgetown, the liberal elite, the liberal school in D.C. That's so about diversity.
Right.
Okay. So, and then our own do it too. I mean,
Oh, I know.
Not gonna get on. I'm not gonna get on certain HBCUs in DC on how they act towards us, but
Well, that's why I try to do my part.
Sorry.
Right. Well, that's why I try to do my part to heal the minds of as many Black people as possible, and to get us to look at each other with compassion and understanding. The same way we give away compassion and understanding to other races.
Right.
I want us to look at. We give compassion to other races, and we sometimes don't give it to our own people. Right. We forgive other races for everything they do, but we will hold a grudge against another Black person for something really simple, over petty stuff, a lifelong grudge over our own people. We need to learn
cancel culture. Have we forgiven Corsette Michelle yet for just saying?
I've been forgave her. I mean,
I wasn't even mad at her, but you guys.
I wasn't mad at her. Right.
Yeah, but my thing is, it's like. And the thing is, though, no one wanted to hear her explanation. Her explanation was, I know I didn't agree with him. I didn't vote for him, but this was a moment that maybe we all could try to come together. That way, if we're divided, he'll listen to us. He listened to me. Right. Instead, they see her singing and they went off on her. Same thing with Steve Harvey and Ice Cube and Ray Lewis. They got mad at him. Right. They didn't even wait to let them explain the contract with Black America, like you were saying. They just saw the photo shoot and went the fuck off.
And they didn't even go read it. It was out there for, everybody to see.
Off of a movie coming up or something?
Say that again?
I think Ice Cube had a movie or something coming up and they took him off of it. Yeah. Yeah,
I believe so, yeah. So these people that was putting down Ice Cube didn't even bother to go read the contract with Black America. Right? They automatically just started calling him names and saying he was a quote-unquote coon, which I don't like that word because that's a word that white people used to call Black people as well. So I don't really use that word. But they just started calling him all types of names. They never bothered to read the contract, but that contract really had a lot of stuff in it that was looking out for Black people. And if we had came together as a people and held Kamala and Joe's feet to the fire, made them promise to, and get it in writing, made them promise to put that into effect, we could have had something. But no, all we said was, let them get in there first. Let them get in there first.
What have they done other than crash the economy? Nothing.
Nothing. But see, you talk about let them get in there first. But after they get in there, they don't need you anymore.
Oh, but hold on a second. Here's the thing too. They said before Trump, and I'm not defending Donald Trump, but Trump didn't get in there yet. And they were saying, and they were already crucifying him. I said, keep the same energy. Keep the same energy down.
Well, one thing about him is, I'm tired of people saying that he brought back racism.
Oh, God never went away. More Black people got shot by the police under Obama.
Right, exactly.
Who whenever something happened, and I like Obama, don't get me wrong, but whenever something happened, he would just go out and say, guys, we have to respect the verdict and just move on with our lives and just pray for the families.
Right.
I get what he's trying to say. He's trying to keep the peace. I got it. But it's like, please acknowledge here that there was a miscarriage of justice, but he was too worried about not pissing off the white voters.
No, I know. And I mean, racism, again, like you said, it never went away. And the whole time he was in there, they were calling him names. They were calling Michelle Obama names.
And that was so messed up. When she wore short sleeve, that was so messed up. What's wrong with her showing skin? It was disgusting.
Nothing at all.
But then Melania come out, whole porn star. With her breasts out. But sexy, it's not a problem. But Michelle's not allowed to do it. Yeah.
Right. And so it was just a whole the whole racist thing was going on the whole time. But the only thing Trump did was he made some of the racists
Come
more
out.
bold. Huh?
And he got them to come out to vote.
Yeah. And he made them more bold instead of hiding and doing stuff on a sneak tip. They started showing people who they are. Quite frankly, I prefer racists who show who they are than the ones who smile in your face while they're plotting against you the whole time. You know, some said that about his vice president. They said his vice president was just as racist as he is, but he's the type who's more
he'll smile.
You know, what you say?
He'll smile in your face.
Yeah, he'll smile in your face.
He'll
but
smile in your face and then turn around. He's that CEO who will smile and meet you to meet the hiring quota, and then lay you off once it's done reporting.
Right. So I prefer racists who tell you who they are.
Oh yeah.
Instead of ones who try to pretend to be your friend. Instead of ones who
Joe Biden.
Right. Instead of ones who will try to sleep with you and marry you.
Hold on.
And people.
So someone has a very good comment. They said Black people are only demographic expected to support initiatives without receiving specific benefits in kind. You never see that with the other racial groups. That is powerful. And like we were just saying, look at our vote. And then when our own, like Kanye and Ice Cube and them try to sit at the front table, we get chastised for it. So it discourages us from wanting to try to get something. What do we get for voting for these clowns? Nothing. They die in.
And then when we try to tell our people that we need to band together and hold their feet to the fire, they say things like, well, just let them get in there first and then they'll get it done. That's what they said about Kamala and Joe. Let them get in there first, right? And like I said earlier, once they get in there, they don't need it anymore. They were just acting like they were for us to get our votes.
They've been pretending the last couple months because they needed the midterm support.
Oh yeah, that's coming back up. Yeah, so
they lost the House. So the excuse now is they're not working with us, and in 2024 they're going to say it again. Well, we weren't able to help y'all because they didn't work with us. That's going to be the excuse. But they don't. But I don't want to. I know people are going to be getting upset. Let's get back to what was the last time you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I was just talking about the whole on code thing. Like we were saying, other races work together, even despite their inner disagreement. They don't let the whole world see them argue amongst each other. They pull up each other away from the cameras, and they work their stuff out, away from everybody else. And they damn sure don't invite other races into their own personal problems. But we'll fight in front of everybody and invite other races in on our problems, which we should not be doing that. So that's what I was saying about being on code. We have to learn to be on code with each other if we want to really get anywhere, and learn to respectfully agree to disagree. We don't have to agree on everything. One thing about those racists who don't, the racists who don't agree on everything within their people, the main thing that they do agree on is that they put their people first, regardless of everything else, right? Because they want to get certain things for their people, and that's what we need to learn to do. And now I know that's a difficult thing to do, but we have to figure out different ways to do that.
I mean, look at homophobia or in families. The Black family, we know the more religious aunts and grandparents don't play that. But in our family, there's somebody who might be homosexual, whatever, and they will banish them to the whole family. They will isolate them. They will post it. They gossip. The whole community knows about it. White families, they privately will take them off. They'll take them off the will. They'll take the assets from them, whatever. But they will never, like if especially their political families, right? How many times we found out after, like we didn't find out about Dick Cheney's daughter until they were in the 8th year of the presidency.
Well, with the whole homosexuality thing, Black people, Black men in particular, Black heterosexual men in particular, are made to be the face of homophobia, which is not true. Okay, white folks have been very homophobic and used to kill white homosexuals on a regular basis.
Hello, Hitler's first victims during the Holocaust, the Pink Triangle. It was 8 soldiers. Yep.
Yeah, I think we talked about the Pink Triangle on the last episode we did.
Yeah, guys, go on this page and look at the past links. Go on this YouTube page. I'm promoting for you, man. YouTube page. He has other videos up here. But go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, this is our third time doing episode together. But you know,
Someone said start King James.
King James, yeah. But see, we always hear about the black church this, the black church that. But where did the black church learn that from? The white church. White preachers get up there and talk against homosexuality. Not too long ago, I saw a recording of a white man talking about homosexuals need to be burnt alive, right? A white man said that. But you know one thing? You will never hear white homosexuals come out and say, I hate white people, right? Whereas black people will hear a black person say something negative about homosexuals, and then they will say they don't like their people or they hate black people, or you know, or say something negative about the black race because they've heard some black people say something negative about homosexuals. But white people, they have white people who are against homosexuals, but they don't never come out against their own people.
Oh no.
For saying stuff like that. They work out whatever issues they got behind closed doors.
Or they're also scared that if they say something, they'll be canceled or fired or.
Who, white people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe they might be scared, but
sometimes. But they get this.
Yeah. But then again, there's also a lot of racist white homosexuals too.
Oh yeah. Pete, what was the guy ran from President Pete Buttigieg, whatever. The mayor of South Bend or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All the police shit going on in his city, endorsing them. But when he ran, it was, Black Lives Matter. I said, you don't sit your ass down.
Right. So white folks can be racist and homosexual at the same time. They don't come out against racist white people at all. And they never attack their own race in front of the whole world. Like, I understand we need to address each other, but we don't need to be doing that in front of everybody.
Exactly.
We need to pull each other up.
It's like, it goes down to basic decency. If you have friends or family you have a problem with, you don't need to let the whole crew know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's same thing with my old podcast. Today, several people, when I announced I was doing this one, they were like, what happened to yours? What happened to yours? People didn't even know about that. And I haven't done that in almost 2 years. So, but it's not for the world to know what happened. Mm-hmm. Friends and families have disputes. But it's not. But unfortunately, I know the reason I kept it on the hush, and I agree with that person to keep it on hush, and we just we kind of just went our separate ways with the rights. It's because if I would have made a spectacle about it or explained it, it would have been made into an entertainment. People would have made it gossip. They would have made it drama. They would have made it about the wrong things instead of going, they just went their separate ways. Wish them the best, But we can't do that because it wasn't juicy. No one cared. Stop.
Yeah, people don't like healthy situations. They always got to make something dysfunctional about it, or say that there was some drama, But some of us know how to get along without there being drama.
Man, yes.
And we don't. And no matter who you are, you're not going to agree with anybody 100% of the time.
The thing is, I don't want to, and that's the thing in general. Who wants to agree all the time? If the world is all things the same, no one's thinking very much. Mm-hmm. I don't want everybody to agree.
Well, there's this person that's interested in me that wants to date me, but I can't date him, even if I am attracted to him, because I can't talk to him about real shit. He wants to only hear about flowers and sunshine. He doesn't want to talk about the stuff that's going on in our community. And I personally can't date a brother that I can't talk about real shit with, that I can't talk about what black people go through with. I need to be with somebody I can talk to about that stuff, being as though I've been through that stuff personally myself as well. But he just wants to only talk about happy stuff all the time. And I understand the need to laugh and have fun. We all need that. But we also need to be able to talk about real stuff. I need to be able to talk. If I'm going to be dating somebody, I need to date somebody that I can talk to about real shit that's going on with our people. So, you down there chowing down.
I eat all day, man. Work has been,
Okay. Yeah.
And right when I was
But
done, it was time for this. It's all good. I'm holding on. I'm good. The dog, they're in my face right now. That's why I'm making this face. I don't want people to call PETA on me when I yell at them.
okay. Okay, so as far as the whole thing of getting on code, do you have any suggestions as to how we could do that or start the process of getting on code? I know this is a difficult thing, but it'll take a lot of work. But yeah,
We're going to need a part 2 for that.
a part 2 for that? Okay, well, we can come back and do part 2 for that and also talk about the Woman King as well when you come back.
I'm watching it on Friday. I also, in Black America, please do not take away my black card. I'm going to watch the first Black Panther tonight.
Oh, you haven't seen it.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Okay, I'm not taking away your black card. You still my brother.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to, for the folks just joining now, y'all missed it.
Y'all.
The people just joining now, we're going to post, you're going to let me know when it's downloaded, right?
Yeah, I'm going to load it to Facebook as well as YouTube. And it's going to still be here as well. It's going to be here on Instagram, and it's also going to be on Facebook and YouTube as well.
Okay. But I was going to say, too, I will watch the first Black Panther tonight. And then I did not know my favorite actress, Angela Bassett, was on it. So I will watch it. And then I will see the second one. Okay. I love Angela Bassett. She could do no wrong. She could burn down a bank, and I would love her. I would say she deserves every dollar she got. So, cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm still working to get my film out there, but I'm also writing a new screenplay. And I'm trying to get We Brothers out there.
Someone said they watched it for the first time today, too. Well, look, there's many of us out here that have not seen it. I will watch it. Also, I want to support Black business, so I'm going to watch it on Disney. And I think for every time it's watched, they get a certain profit. So, and then when the second one comes out, I'm not going to wait till it comes out on bootleg or streaming. I'm going to go pay and see it. Because that's the only time I will pay for a freaking movie is when it is something to support us or Jordan Peele.
Okay, well, since you plugging stuff, I'm going to plug my thing right quick, too.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I have a film, an award-winning short film called The Eternal Extra, which the message of that film is for us to realize the power that we have. I just use the acting business as the backdrop, but it could be any business that Black people are in. But it's an award-winning short film. It's been in 5 film festivals. It's currently on a Black-owned streaming service.
Nice. What's the name of it?
Called Stream DMV. And that's because all the content on there is from filmmakers from the DMV area. Yeah. From Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So my film is on there right now. It can be rented for $3.99, just $3.99. It's and you'll have access to it for 7 days. We'll also have my new film on there when it's finished, when the editing is done, called We Brothers, which is my first film that has some change in the loving characters in it.
I love that.
And I had my first on-screen kiss with and We Brothers. What?
Nothing.
What did you say? What was that for? What you thinking?
I didn't say anything.
You were thinking something. Well, you saw a picture, so I'm kissing somebody.
I know, and I was floored.
Huh?
Nothing.
You were what? You were floored?
I was floored.
Why were you floored? Why were you floored?
I'm fucking with you. Go ahead. I just feel like there was, yeah. Sometimes you can see through the screen when there's passion, but go ahead.
Well, we did our job,
Move. Sorry. Move.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, this has been a great conversation, and we'll get back to part 2 so we can talk about Woman King and also some ideas on how we can get on code as a people and stop putting everything out there in front of everybody, so we can have some cohesiveness and get some stuff done as a people the way other races do. Definitely. So this has been a great conversation.
And thanks everyone. There are a couple of you guys who stayed here the whole time. That's awesome. Because I know these
conversations. Thank you guys for being here the whole time. I'm definitely going to upload this onto Facebook.
We can watch it later. I'll push it.
I'm going to try to get it on there. Yeah, I'm going to try to have it on there tonight. The last time I did something, for some reason it wouldn't go through right away, and it didn't go through to the next day, but hopefully it'll go through tonight, and it should be on Facebook tonight, and as well as YouTube.
Perfect.
All right, Jeffrey. Thanks, man.
Talk to you later.
For the conversation. All right, peace, bro. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, y'all. Have a good night. Peace. Love you.